Overlord is a classic isekai anime where the main character gets transported in another world where magic exists. The anime starts in the RPG game named Yggdrasil, that the main character played a lot. And I mean a lot, a massive weeb. More than you. He is the guild leader of one of the biggest guilds of the game, but that title is useless now, because the game is on its last day. Because Yggdrasil is very dear to him, he decides to stay on until the server stops. However, unlike when the game was popular, he will have to spend that time alone, as every one of his guild members are spending their time with their family or at work. But not Momonga. Momonga got no time for family, he has to game. Momonga spent his last moments on the game wandering around the Heinz Old Gone Guild headquarters, reminiscing about the good moments he had with his friends in the guild and basking in the former glory of the guild. Before going to sleep on his throne, Momonga gathers some of the most powerful NPC of the guild and put them in the throne room. He also changes the configuration of the NPC named Albedo to make her, and I quote, madly in love with Momonga. But since it's just an NPC of a game that is about to close, this shouldn't have any long-term consequences, right? Right? Well, even if you never saw Overlord, you can guess that it will. Momonga fell asleep before the end of the game. When he woke up, he was still in the game, and he couldn't log out. He discovered that what was formerly a game became reality in a very manly manner.
全て今までのゲームでは決して表現できなかったものばかりっていつまで揉んでいるんだ
He then sent Sebas, the butler that leads the group of battle maid named Pleiades, outside to scout the region around the Nazarick tomb they are in. He then gathered every floor guardian of the Nazarick tomb to the arena, to see if all the guardians, even the one he didn't create, are loyal to him. Here we meet pretty much all of the important characters of the first season, and every time we meet a somewhat important character, I'm going to take the time to name them. You have the dark elf Aura, a girl that's dressed as a boy, and Mare, her brother, dressed as a girl. The siblings are the guardian of the arena floor. Sholtir the vampire, she and Aura hate each other just because their creators said so, and apparently they are aware that it's the only reason they hate each other. Cocytus, a giant bluish insect-like warrior, and Demiurgos, a demon in an orange suit with glasses. And finally, the leader of the Guardians, we already saw her earlier, Albedo. She wears a white dress and has dark hair. All of the former NPC think of Momonga as their absolute leader, calling him and the players who created them absolute being. And Momonga is worried about behaving like the perfect leader they think he is, when he is clearly not. Very far from it. After making sure he had the Guardians' loyalty, he informed them that the tomb of Nazarick has been transported into another world. The meeting finishes after Momonga orders Mare to hide the tomb with magic. When Momonga leaves the arena, we see a scene where all the Guardians speak with each other. We learn that from their point of view, all of the creators, the absolute being as they call them, left them, and Momonga is the only one that stayed with them. And the Guardians are ready to do anything for Momonga if he stays with them. They are also extremely worried he may leave like the other Supreme Being. We also see that Albedo is indeed madly in love with Momonga, up to a worrying point, poor Momonga. But Sholtir also is, and during the first season, even up until the third, she will fight with Albedo. Not in a story-relevant kind of way, but she will fight with her. On the next scene, we see Momonga putting on a black armor that, spoiler alert, we are going to see a lot. Then he tries to sneak out of the Great Tomb alone to see the surrounding. In the end, Demiurgos goes with him. While really high in the sky, because yes, of course he can fly, what did you expect? While in the sky, Momonga says out loud that world conquest might be an interesting idea, but in his head refutes it, and devises a plan to spread the name of the guild Ainz All Gone, so that maybe other players of Yggdrasil that might have gotten transported with him hear it. And of course, Demiurgos only hears the world conquest part. Jeez, I wonder what consequences that could have. They get back down. Momonga decides to give a teleportation ring to Mari that he sees camouflaging the tomb. Momonga sees the ring as just a tool. The Guardian sees this as an enormous reward, because only the Supreme Being used to have that. The next move for Nazarick, searching the surrounding of Nazarick. While using an artifact to see the surrounding, Momonga sees a human village being attacked and citizens being killed. In that moment, Momonga notices that becoming his character, an undead, made him indifferent to that. Therefore, since he has no interest in saving the people of the village, he decides to do nothing. But then, after remembering one of his friends, a guy named Touch Me, that was a typical good guy that helped people in need, he decides to act and use the opportunity to test his power in battle. He gets to the village and kills a knight that was about to kill Enli and her little sister Nemu. They will become somewhat important characters in the future. Here Momonga notices that he's truly not human anymore, as he just killed someone without feeling anything. Also, Albedo followed him. It's not important, but I just thought she looked cool in that armor. Before going to save the other humans, Momonga hides the fact that he is an undead, and he'll do that every time he meets a human he does not want to kill. Also, he starts calling himself Ainz All Gone, so that the name of the guild starts spreading. I'll just call him Ainz for short. He obviously overpowered the knights like you overpower a toddler. He lets some of them leave so that they spread his name. After saving the villagers, he gets as many informations about the world out of them as he can. He also makes them believe he's a powerful mage coming out of isolation. He learns that Nazarick is located in the kingdom of Re-Estes, that the Baharlus Empire is their neighbors, and that the Empire and the kingdom are at war. That there is a city called Irantel close to them, that also play a major role in the conflict for the kingdom. Then south of the kingdom and empire is the slain theocracy. Ainz decides to use this good deed, the fact he saved the villagers, just in case a player meet up with them to make himself look good. Just before he leaves, another group of knights come to the village, this time not to kill. There we are introduced to another important character, Gazef Stronov, captain of the royal army of Re-Estes. It appears that the knights going around killing villagers disguised as knights of the empire has been a trap set up by the slain theocracy to kill Gazef Stronov. Why? No idea. When Ainz and Gazef realize the trap, the mage summons monsters that existed in Yggdrasil. When asked by Gazef, Ainz refuses to help get rid of the trap. But before Gazef leaves to fight the mage, Ainz gives him a little totem. Gee, I wonder if that will play a role. Gazef and his soldier left the village to fight the magicians and monsters, and give time for the villagers and Ainz to run away. At first, the fight seems pretty even, but whenever a monster died, the mage just had to summon a new one, therefore using up Gazef's stamina. When Gazef was about to be killed by the plethora of angels, Gazef and Ainz exchanged their places, thanks to the little totem. Gazef found himself confused in the house with all the villagers, Ainz fighting the summoned angels. The leader of the theocracy's magicians was also confused, but made the mistake of thinking of Heinz and Albedo as weaker than him. What an idiot. And Heinz started taunting them in a weirdly enjoyable manner, while perfectly behaving as an overlord of death. He obviously crushed them and broke their spirit, and forced them to use their greatest asset, a bigger angel. It disappointed Heinz and myself. After mercilessly killing them, he explained to Albedo why he did what he did. He used Gazef to verify the strengths of the humans of the world. When he judged it to be low enough, he took the risk to fight himself. After that, they got back to Nazarick to update the other Guardians on what happened, and ordered the Guardians to spray the name of Heinz Holgone. Some bedroom mischief with Albedo later, or at least she tried to have some. Heinz put a devious plan into action to get more information about the political situation of the Riestis kingdom. He decided he would become an adamantite adventurer, FYI highest rank adventurer, to gain the trust of people and the ability to get a lot of information. But to do that, he had to start from the lowest rank. He and Narberal Gamma, member of the Pleiades, headed to Irantel to start being adventurer. Narberal would use the false name Nabe, and Heinz would use Momon, and hide himself with an armor, the same he used when he and Demiurgos went flying. Nabe and Momon went to a really cheap inn for bronze adventurer. During this scene we have your typical moment where drunkard adventurer tries to pick on the overpowered MC and get beaten up in a spectacular fashion. When beating the drunkard, Momon sent a drunkard flying, breaking a table and the valuable potion of an adventurer. Because that adventurer came complaining, and because Momon didn't want Nabe to kill her, because she dared to speak rudely to a supreme being, Momon gave a potion from Yggdrasil to the woman. Because the potions from the New World are blue and the one she received was red, she went to the pharmacist or apothecary, whatever the name is, to appraise this red potion. She went to the renowned Bale Ale pharmacy, and there we are introduced to somewhat important character again, Lizzie Baleare and her grandson Enfilia Baleare. I apologize for the pronunciation. I don't know where to put this information, but Enfilia has a talent that allows him to use any magical object. This will be useful later. They discover that the red potion is a perfect potion that is supposed to be just a legend, and way more potent than the common blue potion from this world. The adventurer sells the red potion because people would be ready to kill her to get something that valuable. The day after, Momon and Nabe went to get their first quest. However, none of them can read the quest. To avoid revealing that they can't read, Momon, with a supreme amount of confidence, picks a random quest and informs the guild staff that he's picking that quest. When confronted by the guild staff over the fact that a bronze adventurer can't pick a mithril rank quest, Momon said, "I want it anyway," and then the task staff went, "But the rules." After the unfruitful exchange, another group of adventurers saw that and asked Momon and Nabe to join them in their quest. The adventurer group is composed of a guy named Luclus, another named Dine, Nina, a magician child, and the leader, Peter. I'm not going too much in detail with them because, well, you'll see later. The quest in question is just hunting monsters around Irantel. Momon and Nabe decides to join them. While they were about to leave the guild, Enfilia comes and gives a personal quest to Momon. Momon first refuses the quest, but because even the adventurer party had a quest which urged him to accept, he accepted. The mission is an escort mission to a forest near the Carney village, the one Heinz saved in the beginning. By the way, when I say Momon, I'm referring to Heinz but hidden under the armor. Thinking that escort missions are annoying, Momon hires the adventurer group to do the quest with him. Because hiring a novice adventurer sounds awfully suspicious to Momon, he asks the reason of his choice to Enfilia. Enfilia says it's because he heard that an adventurer in black armor threw another one in an inn, and the group he usually asks is not there, but that is a lie. Momon doesn't know that, but we do, even if he is still suspicious. Before the adventurer goes to the quest, we see another scene that happened during the night in a cemetery. Here we are introduced to an old man named Kajit, that seems to be a necromancer and in a cult, and Clementine, another member of the cult, and a former member of an underground group of the Slain Theocracy. She ran away and stole a magical object, some sort of crown, that if successfully used would allow for the manipulation of a tremendous amount of magic. In short, they are your typical bad guys. The next day, the group and Momon approach the forest, and during the travel, Momon learns of the existence of a monster called the Wise King of the Forest. Apparently, he is very powerful and old and can use magic. I never know if I should put it in the summary, but Albedo is a massive Einstein. Moving on. During the travel to the forest, the guy named Luke tries to hit on Nabi. I mean, she's hot, but because at some point he insinuates that Nabi and Momon are in a couple, she gets embarrassed and almost reveals some information about Nazarick. Shortly after, ogres and goblins attack, and Momon and Nabi impresses everyone because of how easily they kill the monsters. Momon is impressed with the quality of the teamwork of the adventurers and feels a bit nostalgic because he is reminded of him and his friends. During a little scene that's supposed to make us feel for the side characters a little more, we learn that Enfilia is in love with a girl in the village of Carney. Do you wonder who that girl is? Think about it. Of course you know who that is. The day after, the little group finally arrived close to the village of Carney. Enfilia, who went to the village multiple times before, noticed that a weird fence appeared on the road. While getting even closer, they noticed a group of well-armed and talking goblins guarding the fence. Those goblins were summoned by a magic item that Heinz gave to Enlich, the village girl he saved. The goblins asked them to lower their weapon, wanting to avoid a fight. Enlich recognized Enfilia and let them enter. And yes, as you guessed it, Enfilia is in love with Enlich, the girl that Heinz saved. When Enlich revealed the existence of Heinz Old Gone, the powerful magic caster that saved the village and gave her a red potion to heal her, Enfilia makes the connection between Heinz and Momon. When he learns that Momon and Heinz are the same person, a powerful warrior and a powerful magic caster at the same time that saved the village of the girl he loves, he decides to come clean and actually reveal that he asked for Momon because of the red potion that he gave to a woman at the inn. A little while after, they went to the forest to do what they came to do in the first place, escort Enfilia while he picks medicinal plants. Planning to capture the Wise King of the Forest, Heinz parted with the party for a little and headed deeper in the forest, and Aura, who followed them, was given the mission of guiding the Wise King of the Forest to Momon and Nabi. The Wise King of the Forest fought with Momon and lost. He had to use a really low-level spell to beat the Wise King into submission. Momon contemplated killing him, but decided to tame him to help spread the name of Momon the Adventurer. Enfilia is worried for Enlich since if the Wise King disappears, so as the protection of the Carney village, but Momon reassures him and says he will help him protect the village.